The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference and the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame are proud to recognize the Honor Roll Class of 2015. These 24 individuals share the common bond of leadership, responsibility, and commitment developed during their time as basketball student athletes, coaches, and supporters at MAAC institutions. These innovators helped bridge the gap from what was just a thought and made it reality, persevering through obstacles to achieve their goals.
Those were, as you know, some very turbulent times. Okay, that was the 60s, the Civil Rights Movement, and what have you. Being an African American at that time could have been difficult if you let it, in my opinion. To me, it was never a problem, only because I could get along with anybody, as far as I was concerned. I was aware of being, the first in many doors that I opened, but I always looked at that as a badge of honor and a responsibility that, to the extent that I was blessed with the opportunity to do that, that was further motivation for doing as well as I possibly could. Being the first African American on the varsity here, I wanted to excel best I could.
From a basketball standpoint, being here through the transition period, my freshman year we were Division I, Division II, and then my sophomore year we were Division I, so we kind of went through some tough times, but we helped the program get started. What is really great now, though, is when I talk about Marist College to people, no matter where I am, because I do some traveling, people know Marist College, So I think the vision that President Murray had has come to fruition, and it's just great to be a part of this school. There was 3 guys, I was the first, so that's something that, whatever records are broken or whatever, that's something that nobody can take away. So I think I'm really most proud of that accomplishment.
As a student athlete, you typically have 2 paths that you take. One is the academic path, and the other one that you're doing at the same time is your athletic experience, your practice, your games. So those 2 experiences are really a parallel path. When we started the women's basketball team in 1971, we didn't know it, but we were going on a 3rd path. Because what we were doing was creating something that didn't exist. We were creating a women's program, basketball, that actually would be the model for several other women's programs. What that was learning about how to change things, learning about how to make a difference, learning what your obstacles are and how to overcome them, getting some people to help you, and convincing other people that what you're doing should not be as threatening, and bringing them on board.
It's been really, really fascinating to be a part of, to watch, like I said, coming up with Title IX and starting at Marist when they just transitioned to Division I, which again, I think was just an awesome part of my experience here. And then being able to break a record and set a new record and be just a part of that whole history. I think being a part of a team teaches you a lot. It teaches you how to work with other people. It's the guidance, from having a coach that, taught me how to work with others and to aim for that goal together. When I got into the workforce, it helped me learn how to just work with others and for the common goal. Unfortunately, while I was here, we never won a championship. We got pretty close. I would give away my scoring record to have won a championship. I mean, that was a great thing, but especially having been the first woman to score over 1,500 points.
These honor roll recipients embrace the lessons they learned as student athletes, taught by able and experienced coaches who prepared them for the many opportunities they pursued following graduation.
When we go back, I guess, with John Thompson, we were teammates at Providence. While I was at Bryant, I got a call from John. He said he was going to be the coach of Georgetown, and he asked me if I wanted to go with him. That's really how he ended up in Georgetown. And I think I had an advantage with a lot of, say, minority students at St. Peter's at that time. And one of them, because I coached with John, so I said he must be okay because he worked for a black coach. And that was a plus. That's my opinion. But it was easy for me to talk to students. I think the biggest thing is your accountability and responsibility. As you get older, you have to be more responsible, and you're accountable for what you do. See the student athletes graduate, that was big. That was big. And then see success of the teams that have won, that have gone to NC championships.
Every coach instills a little bit into you and develops you into the person that you're going to become. So Trish definitely instilled a lot of hard work, a lot of desire and discipline, and her assistants echoed the same exact thing. The other person that really was my mentor would be Jen Mead, who is our athletic trainer, and she really pushed me to overcome a lot of obstacles that I had faced, especially my freshman year, and kind of developed me into the person that I ultimately became at Quinnipiac. My experiences at Quinnipiac as a student athlete have allowed me to develop into the coach that I've become today. If I had not been a student athlete at Quinnipiac or given the opportunity to be a student athlete, I wouldn't be in the profession that I am today, and I wouldn't have the ability to be able to coach these young ladies the way that I do every single day.
I pretty much was 2 years into playing basketball when I got recruited at Manhattan. I was advised by a former teammate and mentor for me. She kind of just said to me, well, you know, there's no other place for you to improve in England. No coach can do that for you in England. The only place that can do that is the US. You have to go. Of course, she did this 4 years prior to me, so she knew the process, she knew the growth I would undertake. I think without Donna Knight, I definitely wouldn't have played in the US. I wouldn't even have known that there was scholarships to be attained.
In terms of, you know, really on the court and what I learned, leadership was huge. You know, to be able to, as a point guard, have to lead a team and make decisions on the fly and get people to buy in to what you're doing and what you're asking them to do, especially when you're their peers. It was a difficult thing to do, but it also is something that's, you know, carried with me throughout my career. Similar to my senior year, when I was honored as MVP of the team, back then I said in my acceptance speech that I was the first MVP in the history of the game whose GPA was higher than her points per game. And, you know, it's kind of the same thing. I'm probably the first honor roll inductee to have the stats that I do, which are absolutely awful. But that just shows that the intangibles are just as important as the stats.
The greatest lessons I learned was from Brother Driscoll. I'll never forget my first year. I had just gotten the job. I was 27 years old, and it was a little rough time when Jim Valvano left. And at 27, I was given the reins to kind of keep the program going. So you can imagine following Jim Valvano was hard enough, but following him when you were 27 years old and had never been a head coach before. So Brother Driscoll on one hand gave me a lot of confidence. On the other hand, when we sat down after year one and I thought I had done a great job, he brought out our grades. And we had a few guys whose grades were not up to snuff. And when I thought I was going to get a new 5-year contract, he said, let's see how you do next year, Pat, and we'll talk about it again. So Brother Driscoll really taught me a lot about, hey, if you're going to be really successful, it's the totality of what you do. And it's obviously the academics first, and then how you develop these young men as people, and then how you win and how you sell the university and the mission.
Look at when I am forced to look back at the things that I was most proud of as a coach and the things that I remember as a coach, it's always the players, it's always the teams. Not only the fun time, but the way they caught on to things that we did that they'd never seen before. The way they cared about each other. It's allowing these young women to participate in something terrific. We all love basketball. Come through, and when you look at them now and their positions that they hold and the things that they're doing, a lot of it, I believe, is how they got along when they were playing basketball here. That's what I think is wonderful. I think that's part of the whole thing. Strong, young, happy, crazy young women.
It's the bonds and lasting friendships formed from being part of a team made up by coaches and student athletes working together for a common goal that can be most rewarding.
The team that I had while I was at Monmouth was, especially my senior year, was the closest group of guys that I've ever been around. You know, we had very good chemistry. I am best friends still with a lot of those guys. When I think back to Monmouth and my experiences at Monmouth, you know, my teammates are probably on top of the list of my memories here, and the good times that we've had and the practices that we had to go through and the bad times that we had, the great wins and the tough losses and great successes that we had, and all different experiences at times off the court, you know, all these different things. My teammates are the ones that I really carry great memories.
My teammates and the friendships are everlasting. We don't talk all the time, but their kids play at a different high school, and obviously I'm involved in coaching, and we see them, and we just go back to Ryder. We smile, we laugh, we just talk about all our memories here and, you know, what it meant to all of us. I have to look back at the trips with my teammates, the van. Like back in the day, Ryder had like a 14-person van, and you get 13, 14 women in a van. The laughing, the joking, the stories, it was just great.
I think my friendships throughout the years that I was at Iona mean the world to me. Some of my best friends were involved either on the team or a manager. For instance, one of my best friends, Melissa Yeagley, we played together. She was a year older than me. So from my freshman to junior year, we played together. We actually lived together, and we still keep in touch, and we still get together. And we were able to have such a great relationship because we both loved the game of basketball. We wanted to play for each other. And once we got off the court, we would kind of complain about how hard things were and, oh, I can't believe coach made me do this. I can't believe he made me do that. But it's crazy. People say that you meet your best friends in college, and I truly believe that.
I think basketball chose me with a 6'3" frame, 3 brothers, hoop outside. Our favorite pastime in the summer were pickup games with the neighbors. I know I wouldn't have made it to the collegiate level if it weren't for all the amazing and talented athletes and coaches that I've had along the way. Being a member of a team on campus is different than being just a student. We bonded with the experiences that we had that the other students didn't have to try to deal with: traveling, practice, games, missing classes. And that created a bond that for us has stood the test of time. We may not see each other as often as we like, but we do get together, and when we do, we don't skip a beat. It's just as if we had been together yesterday.
My attending St. Peter's, to me, I've always thought it as a gift, and all of the things that are most important to me are connected to St. Peter's. My faith, my family, my husband and I met at St. Peter's, and we were married in the chapel, and obviously my education and all the friendships I built there. That building is amazing. It was so impressive, and it holds a lot of special memories for me. I can remember the very first time I walked in that gym when I had the tryout, and I just thought how great it would be if I could actually play there. But more than the building itself, I think the people that made up that building that made it so special for me. From the person who greeted you at the door, to the person I worked for from my work-study job, to everyone in the athletic office and the trainer's office. They made that place wonderful.
And with the luxury and perspective of time and maturity, these former coaches and student athletes provide meaningful insight.
Anything you try to do, work as hard as you can at it. And then once I got into coaching, it was like unbelievable. We worked 16 hours, you never could work enough. That's why I'm glad I'm out of it now, because I couldn't do that. It's just too much. It's too demanding. But you know what? I ran to work. I loved it that much. I loved to be in between the lines. It was just different, but I enjoyed it. I'll tell you, it made my life. Quinnipiac gave me a living.
Persistence, continuing to try things and get better, never giving up. To me, that meant going to the gym on days we didn't have practice and practicing things that I was weak on. For me, the guys wouldn't pass me the ball. They said, "Jeff, you can't catch the ball," because of the fact they would never pass it to me. When you rebound, you make the shot. When going into the Hall of Fame, having that record for rebounding for 38 years meant a lot to me.
The biggest thing that it taught me is how to live and work with anyone. It doesn't make a difference of ethnicity, socioeconomics, aptitude. That was very important. The second thing, it taught me how to speak to anyone. And finally, you lose your fear. I mean, there's nothing like being at a foul line in Madison Square Garden with 18,000 people screaming at you, and if you miss the shot and you see in the Daily News that Marshall Wingate missed this shot, and then you go to Philadelphia and play in the Palestra, that game that you missed the shot in the Garden is gone.
It was close to home, and I kind of wanted to stay close to home. And I knew that Siena was in the process of rebuilding their basketball program. The year that I committed to Siena, there were 3 or 4 other local kids who committed as well. I thought I could, get into something on the ground floor, on the level floor, and kind of build my way up and hopefully, have a good time at Siena, academically learn a lot of stuff, and still have time to play basketball. I was a passenger. Coach Kirsch was the one who drove the bus, and I just sat there and enjoyed it. I had, obviously, we had good players on our team. He had the vision. He knew exactly what he wanted to do.
It was the last game of the season. They give you the senior award and most valuable player or whatever. And my parents came to the game, and that was the first time ever that my parents had seen me play, period. High school level, because I only played 1 year in high school. Didn't make any of the Canisius games, because basketball wasn't that important to them. They was more like a working family. I had 38 points that game. I hit the last second shot to win the game. Just my mom being there and everything that was going on was a special day. And I remember Coach was saying, today is Phil's day. I'm on the bench, after I come back and I see like tears in his eyes because it's the last game. He's like, today's Phil's day. It's his day. It's his day today. And I'm kind of like, it's his day. Okay, it's my day to do whatever I want to do on the basketball court. Okay. He made it my day, my special day, and I wound up having like 38 points and hitting the last shot. And it was just a special day.
I started playing basketball at the age of around 13, and I like the intensity of the game, the ability to make shots. If you work hard at it, you can make yourself a good shooter. It's been my whole life. I mean, when I think back to starting out in grammar school, high school, and then fortunate enough to come here to Manhattan College, very lucky that I got a chance to grow here and play right away, not only as a freshman, but also on the varsity. I was able to start from day one, and I think that really helped me in my growth as a basketball player.
I think the most important lesson is, to go at every game, go at everything you do, full speed. To work hard, be prepared, and play that game as best as you can. But always be ready to change in mid-course if you have to. You've got to adjust to what's coming at you. You can go up against some pretty tough people if you understand how to play the game, when to pivot, and when to charge ahead.